The question caused my heart to relocate involuntarily to my throat, but it was the painfully distinct shick of the pistol's slide, loading around, that made my blood run cold. The offices should have been empty. Dizzy's rampage downstairs had triggered the museum's evacuation protocols. While no museum had a safety plan for a rampaging lioness, whatever procedures they did have shouldn't have involved charging back into the offices. Then again, a museum in Manhattan would not normally have a repository of classified CIA case files, so I was in uncharted waters. Sweat started to bead on my brow. As I looked down at the folder in my hands, 1,000 questions filled my mind. What did the CIA want with the mask? Who were the Inquisition? What on earth was Section 9? And why was there a pile of their reports in my fiancé's office? Unfortunately, none of them could be answered with a bullet in my brain. "You shouldn't be in here," the voice behind me said. "Put the folder down and place both hands on the desk where I can see them." The shock of being caught faded as the familiar voice filled the office. "No, not her. Anyone but Lara, please." Slowly, I set the file down on the antique desk. She had the drop on me. I might be a wizard, but a race between a bullet and my magic would end with a terminal case of lead poisoning. I'd be dead before my shield formed and well before I had the chance to explain myself. No, my best chance lay in complying and trying to catch her off balance. If she saw my face, there was no going back. The future I hoped we'd share together would be shattered in an instant by my need for the stupid mask. As I placed my gloved palms on the desk, I wondered how she would react. Almost unconsciously, I started drawing on the magic around me, summoning my power. Could she feel it? What was it like for a normal to see magic up close for the first time? Magic filled the earth. Blame the old gods. It was their fault, really. They poured so much power into their little experiment of existence that, left alone, the world would tear itself apart. Sure, humanity and climate change might get the job done eventually, but unspent magic was a wellspring of cataclysm that would welcome Armageddon with eager enthusiasm. An overabundance of magic was the Usain Bolt to climate change's Sunday dawdle. The arcane, it was literally all around them, and yet the normals had lived in blissful ignorance of it. The wizarding world and the role we played in their continued survival was a truth they were unprepared for. Without us siphoning off the superfluous supply of energy coursing through our world, our little planet would literally tear itself apart. Yet in spite of the necessity of our existence, we were the outcasts, misunderstood and underappreciated by the world at large. Normal people were quick to focus on the power we possessed rather than the purpose we served. But as my father once said, "You're a wizard, boy. There isn't anyone, normal or supernatural, who's going to feel sorry for you. So put a lid on your pity party and learn what it means to be a part of this world." Frank Caldwell. He was a real beacon of emotional support, one of many reasons we hadn't spoken since Rome. I was confident that robbing museums wasn't what he had hoped for me, but it would hardly be the first time we'd had a difference of opinion. After all, he very much seemed to have resigned himself to our curse and the fate it had in store for us. I felt differently. If the curse wanted me, it was going to have to take me kicking and screaming to my grave. Unfortunately, unless I could locate the mask, that was exactly what fate had in store, a torturous descent into madness and death. Though when I weighed it up against today's mild sprint into self-sabotage and the possibility of being shot to death by my fiancée, it was starting to look more desirable. If Lara could sense the streams of supernatural energy coalescing in the office, she gave no sign of it. Slowly, I let out the breath I'd been holding, hoping it would calm my racing heart. It didn't. My chest grew tighter as I feared how she would react. "What's with the hat?" Lara called, her footsteps muffled by the carpet tiles as she approached. "And who still wears a fedora anyway?" First Neil, now Lara. What was with all the hat hatred? Had I missed some memo where the sartorial world declared war on the style icon that is a good fedora? Heresy. "Turn around, slowly." Her voice didn't waver. I didn't want to. I searched desperately for another option, but my brain wasn't cooperating. The gun pointed at my back wasn't helping the matter. "Now!" she instructed. I turned slowly and lifted my head, my eyes locking onto Lara's. Normally, she was the calm to my storm, but not today. Her emerald eyes flared as her jaw drooped. It was as if anger and surprise were fighting each other for control of her face. "Hi, hun. Care for an early lunch?" I smiled, hoping to put her at ease. It was the kind of boundless optimism that had got mankind to the moon. "Seth, what are you doing here?" Lara's eyes raced from my gloved hands to the files open on the desk, weighing my words and my unexpected appearance in her office. She was having none of it. So much for optimism. "Desmonta," I said, focusing my mind on the Colt 1911 in her hands. The spell gripped the pistol. The slide jerked back, ejecting the round from the chamber as the magazine released, dropping to the floor. Lara wrestled with the pistol as it disassembled itself, but soon she was gripping nothing but the handle as the rest of the steel sidearm fell in pieces to the floor. In the 6 months we'd been together, I'd imagined 1,000 ways I might tell the woman I loved that I was a wizard. I'd considered romantically floating a piece of fruit toward her on one of our dates, and discarded it immediately when I remembered where I had first seen it. Relying on Anakin Skywalker's playbook was unlikely to yield the results I was hoping for. Other ideas had felt equally ham-fisted. When it came to suave moves, I was rocking 2 left feet and ill-fitting shoes. Fortunately, a mutual love of history had helped a bibliophile and a socially awkward thief find each other. Unfortunately, I had never found the courage to share my secret. Magic scared people, and I couldn't deal with being rejected for it. I'd been a coward. Clearly, Lara was fascinated by the arcane. She was making a career studying it, after all. In hindsight, I was afraid that she would look at me like she was now, wide-eyed and fearful. I'd planned to propose using my magic, but the timing had never been right. I'd chickened out and gone with the ring in the dessert option. How do you tell someone that you're one of the supernatural freak shows they've taken to studying? I had no desire to be demoted from lover to lab rat. Would she ever look at me the same? I'd had no way of knowing. No way to be sure she would accept me, and in the face of uncertainty I'd said nothing. I had never given her the chance, and one thing was abundantly clear now. Of the 1,000 ways I might have told her, I had clearly just chosen the worst. Lara's face finally settled on an emotion, rage. A red pallor was rising in her cheeks, her brow furrowed and the veins in her neck bulged until they were fit to burst. "You're a—" On any other day, I might have found her fluster a little endearing. "Wizard," I finished. "Yes, dear. I wanted to tell you sooner, but I could never find the right time." Lara studied the remnants of her pistol, shaking her head in disbelief. "And you thought that breaking into my office was the best you were going to get?" She had me there. I'd had months to find a way to tell her, but I'd never found the courage. I'd always told myself I was making preparations to share my secret, but I never quite got there. I'd been afraid. I gestured at the gun. "No, but I was a little concerned you were going to shoot me." "I might yet." She took a step forward. "There's still time, and you haven't told me what you are doing here, in my office." "Well," I started, as 1,000 thoughts collided in a confusing word salad that simply refused to leave my mouth. Lara said, "I thought as much. With the carnage downstairs, it's becoming pretty obvious. You had me fooled, but it's all coming together now. The grand opening, the last 6 months, all the things we have in common. You were playing me. I should have known better." I raised my hands. "Lara, it's not like that." "Not like what?" she asked, hurling the hand grip of the pistol at me. The piece of steel sailed over my shoulder and buried itself in the plasterboard. "Not like you staked out the museum, inserted yourself into my life and led me on for months. Also you could what? Steal the mask. Are you going to tell me that this isn't all you? The mess downstairs, my stolen passkey? You're here in my office." "Lara," I began, the words I wanted hovering elusively beyond my grasp. Her eyes glistened. "Was it all a lie? You proposed to me, you ass. We've sent out the invitations. Do you even care? What did you think would happen to me after you took my passkey? I'll be fired or worse." The accusation was like a dagger in my heart. I loved her. How could she even think that I didn't care? She might have been right about the heist, but not why I'd done it, or how I felt about her. Besides, it wasn't like I was the only one harbouring a secret. You're one to talk. What's all this, then? I pointed to the files on her desk. Section 9? The CIA? You want to talk about truth? Let's start here. Don't you dare! Lara bellowed as she started toward me, her cheeks flush with indignation. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I just needed to borrow the mask. That's why I had someone else take your pass. I didn't want it to blow back on you. Open mouth. Insert foot. Lara shook her head. Had someone else steal it? Well, aren't you a gentleman? Husband of the year. Right here. Neil's voice invaded my ear. Oh, you're right. This is a much better plan. Shut up. I whispered. Mostly at Neil, but a little for myself. Unfortunately, Lara thought it was meant for her. No, I will not. Robbing your fiancé, and you wanted to make sure it didn't affect her career prospects? How generous. I've got news for you, Seth. She struck me in the chest hard. The air burst from my lungs and I staggered backward into the desk, gasping for air. She was right. I deserved that. It doesn't matter how the priceless relic disappears. I'm still going to be held responsible for it. She raised both fists as she pivoted slightly, narrowing her profile and adopting a fighting stance that a boxer would have been proud of. Who was this woman, and what had she done with my scholarly fiancé? Lara's fists came flying. Ducking under the first, I brought up my guard, deflecting the next blow away from my face. Springing forward, I grabbed her wrists. If I could hold her still, I might just get the chance to explain myself. I was wrong. Lara drove her boot into my shin. The yelp that escaped my lips was as painful to my pride as the throbbing sensation in my right shin. Tearing out of my grip, Lara reached for the desk. Stepping back, she raised a letter opener, brandishing it like a knife. The letter opener might have lacked a keen edge, but as an improvised shiv, it was just as deadly. Lara, that's enough. We'll see about that. She charged forward, plunging the blade at my chest. As it descended, I grabbed for the blade, but her momentum knocked me back onto the desk. I yanked her forward with me, pulling her off balance. The letter opener was buried in the teak desk, narrowly missing my left ear. Lifting my knee, I carried Lara over the desk and deposited her clumsily into her office chair. Both Lara and the chair went crashing to the ground. I winced. Even with Lara on the warpath, I didn't want to hurt her. Rolling off the desk, I spun to find Lara rising from the floor, her hair a dishevelled mess, as she attempted to disentangle herself from the chair. Hurt her. I'd be lucky if she didn't dismember me with whatever stationery she could lay her hands on. If I was being honest, I couldn't blame her. My heart was pounding. I could feel its beat as it threatened to burst from my chest. I sucked in a deep breath and Lara raised her fists. I'm sorry, Lara, I said between breaths. As she closed once more, I whispered a spell. Paralysa. Energy leapt from my outstretched palm. Lara stepped forward, but the magic rolled over her like a wave. Her eyes flickered from murderous to confused as every muscle in her body rebelled against her. The paralysis spell brought her to a grinding halt. It was as if she had been playing a game of musical statues and the song had stopped, her body freezing in place. Her momentum caused her now paralysed form to plunge forward, threatening to face-plant into the office floor. Racing forward, I caught her, and righting her chair, I lowered her into it. Muffled groans escaped her lips as she fought the spell for control of her body. I'm sorry, Lara, I don't want to hurt you. I just need the mask. Reaching down, I pulled the letter opener out of the desk. It was hard to believe only moments ago, Lara had been intent on burying it in my chest. I stepped toward her. Lara's face might have been paralysed, but her eyes bulged as they followed the blade's progress. A bead of sweat ran down her brow, and she trembled. Standing over my fiancé, holding the weapon she'd been intent on sticking in me, I realised what she was thinking. Held prisoner by magic, she feared for her life, from a man she could not recognise. The realisation broke my heart. It was light years from the truth, but the problem with being caught, rather than coming clean as I had hoped, meant she would never trust me. How could she? In her eyes, it would all be one terrible betrayal of her trust. "You don't need this," I muttered, setting the letter opener back on the desk. "You may not believe me, Lara, but I'm not going to hurt you. I could never hurt you. Hell, I didn't even want you to be here for this. You were meant to be at lunch, so I could borrow the mask without destroying our whole life. I know you're angry now. You have every right to be, but trust me when I say that this was the only way." Lara trembled as she fought to get free of the spell. Her inner strength and will were a force to be reckoned with. "I'm going to relax the spell so that you can speak. Please give me a chance." I looked in her eyes, those smouldering emerald eyes. They spoke with an intensity and passion that said no promises. "Libertar," I muttered, focusing on the portion of the spell affecting her head, ensuring it would dissipate, while the rest endured. I was hopeful, but not an idiot. The use of magic is a beautiful blend of artistry and law. The supernatural world may have functioned in a way most normals didn't understand, but it was governed by its own laws. Cosmic, unyielding law. A wizard's bloodline granted the ability to command the supernatural, but the art of magic, the power to mold and manifest one's will using that power, was an expression of the individual wizard. Power might be summoned by the voice. Words, after all, have power, but the shape of one's magic that was fashioned in the mind. The mental image that was framed gave life and form to each spell. Lara gasped as the spell released its hold on her. "Where is the mask?" I asked. "I can't tell you," she said. "What do you need it for anyway?" "Sorry, Lara, but if you want answers, start with a few of your own, like why your office is full of classified files." Looking around the office, I hunted for a safe or other hiding place for the mask. Settling on the filing cabinets along the wall, I pulled open the first drawer. A row of cream files lined the tray from front to back. "I asked first," Lara replied, as I shut the drawer and opened a second one. Like the first, it was full of paperwork. I didn't have time to go through them, one by one. Closing the drawer, I opened the last drawer. More reports. Sliding it shut, I turned to Lara. "You might have, and you probably even deserve them, but time is of the essence and I need the mask. So if you want answers, get talking." "What assurances do I have that you will tell me the truth?" Lara asked. "You know me better than that, Lara. I don't lie. I never have." I made my way over to the work tables. "I might not have told you everything, but what I have told you is true." Ignoring the textbooks, I opened the cupboards beneath them and rummaged through their contents. Hastily stacked textbooks and reams of paperwork had been piled into them. It looked like Lara had printed every article on the supernatural she could get her hands on. "If you won't tell me about the mask, tell me about Section 9. Who are they?" "That's classified," Lara replied. "You're going to have to do better than that, dear." I lifted some newspaper clippings out of the cupboard, articles from the Times detailing the narrowly thwarted attack on New York City. "The answers you are hunting for, Lara, I can help you. The only problem is, I don't know if I should. I thought I knew what drives you, but now I'm not so sure. Who is Section 9, and what do you do for them?" Lara bit her lower lip. She was curious. I just needed to set the hook. "Just how many wizards have been willing to talk to you about our world? Any interviews yet?" She shook her head. "None. After the attack, they're not willing to expose themselves. I found a few lingering on the dark web, but none that are willing to share anything meaningful about the supernatural." I nodded as I approached the next set of cupboards. That's the thing about being persecuted. Makes people very reluctant to come out of hiding. "Is that why you never told me?" Lara asked. "Fear." "Perhaps," I replied, opening the cabinet. "Not of you, but fear of what it might mean for us. I've been hurt before." "You should have given me the chance," she said, her voice little more than a whisper. She was hurting, and it was my fault. I couldn't look at her. Instead, I scanned the room, looking for other hiding places. The mask had to be here. "Tell me about Section 9. Lara let out a sigh. Section 9 is a new division of the CIA that was formed after the events here in New York City. "After the attack." "Why?" I asked, pulling language books from the cupboard in order to search its depths. The attack made it apparent that humanity had been living in a shared delusion about the supernatural. While it appears the world is still treading water on how to respond to this new knowledge, the CIA has decided to embrace it and learn all they can about it. The modern Manhattan Project, I whispered. What? Lara asked. Magic. It's your new frontier, and Section 9 is your answer to the arms race you see coming, I said, as the magnitude of Lara's answer dawned on me. What part do you play in all this? Section 9 recruited me out of college. The academic papers that made me a pariah got me my first interview with the agency. They covered my student debts, put me through the farm, and set me up here to further their studies and understanding of the supernatural. That explained the ass-kicking I had been dealt, but the truth was, every bit as disconcerting as my imagination had been. What does Section 9 want with the mask? Lara replied. I answered your question. Now answer mine. Fair enough. I dumped the last of the language books on the floor, revealing a depressingly maskless cupboard. Magic? Nature or nurture? Lara asked. Ever the anthropologist? I mused to myself. It depends on the species, I replied, hunting for other hiding places. Time was running out. It wouldn't be long before the building was surrounded by first responders. Species? Lara asked. You're going to have to give me more than that. Wizards are born. Vampires are made. Does that help? I replied, holding her gaze. Vampires? Lara asked, one eyebrow rising. Now you're messing with me. I fought the urge to laugh. You know me better than that. What Section 9 doesn't know about the supernatural could fill enough books to bury this museum. Vampires are as real as the spell keeping you in your seat. Fortunately, not very social creatures, and not commonly found here in the US. So your magic is innate then? One cannot simply learn to be a wizard, Lara asked. More or less. One can learn how to channel their gifts, but the gift itself is a part of our nature. There is no school out there turning normals into wizards, if that's what you're wondering. Normals? Non-magical folk, I replied, spotting the air-conditioning vent in the wall by her desk. It was worth a look. That's 3 questions, though. My turn. What does Section 9 want with the mask? Bending down, I examined the grate. It had been painted the same shade as the wall. Slipping my fingers through it, I tried to pry it free, to no avail. The screws holding it in place looked untouched. Peering through the grate, I couldn't see anything beyond, but that was no guarantee. Leave the poor vent alone. You've already destroyed enough of my office. All of which could have been avoided by telling me where the mask is. I drummed my fingers on the wall. I couldn't leave empty-handed. Lara had told me about the mask. It had to be here. But then we wouldn't have had a chance to talk, Lara replied with a grin. Isn't this better? Now you're stalling, I said. What did Section 9 want with the mask? Some of our agents found the mask in hands of an extremist group, the Inquisition. Are you familiar with their work? I shook my head. Enlighten me. They're a fringe group that has taken poorly to the discovery of magic. Like their namesake, they have devoted themselves to ridding the world of any trace of it. I imagine they'll be big fans of your work. Wonderful, I replied, leaning on the desk in front of Lara. Their ignorance is breathtaking. Without us, they wouldn't have a world to enjoy. What do you mean? Lara asked, an eyebrow rising. A question for another day, my dear. Besides, you still haven't answered my question. Why the mask? The Inquisition were going to destroy it, so our agents stole it and shipped it home, Lara replied, matter-of-factly. It was as if the notion of her having agents was just par for the course. So you have no idea what it does? I asked. Not yet, but I'm working on it. Do you? Yes, I said, watching the seconds hand on my watch crawl by. You'll be disappointed to learn that the mask isn't a weapon and it has no use beyond the original purpose of its creation. Lara cocked her head. Which is? Tell me where it is, and I'll tell you, I said, sweat running down my neck. You're getting desperate. Lara laughed, her full lips parting as she studied me. How long do you think you have? Minutes? Seconds? Now cut it in half. You're stealing from the CIA, Seth. She was right. I'd been operating on bad intel. If the museum was a front for their research, there was no telling how quickly they would respond. It was safe to assume backup was already en route. Surrender, Seth. Cut a deal. We could do great things together, Lara offered. There was something hopeful in her plea. But I hadn't survived this long without a healthy dose of skepticism and paranoia. Lara was probably sincere, but her CIA masters were another matter. I had hoped you would make this easier, Lara, but you leave me no other choice. I stretched out my arms as if I were about to cast a spell, feigning a confidence I didn't feel at all. What are you doing? Lara asked, her eyes widening. You've forced my hand. I apologize in advance. This is going to leave a right mess. Lara's eyes flitted from my hands to the filing cabinets and back. It was brief. A blink, and I might have missed it. Thank you, dear. I headed back to the filing cabinet. I'd already checked the drawers, but I'd neglected the base. I yanked open the bottom drawer. Grabbing both sides, I lifted it out of the cabinet and dumped it unceremoniously on the floor, revealing a hollow compartment beneath. Reaching in, I found a sack roughly the size of a dinner plate and only a little thicker. Lara's face fell as I lifted the sack. The bag was a tight weave treated with silicone and featured a drawstring at one end. Opening the bag, I almost cheered. The mascara de la muerte. The mask's fearsome visage was stained dark brown, quite likely by blood. Lines had been etched in the ancient timber. As the mask rested in my hand, a surge of power washed through me. The mascara de la muerte was back where it belonged. You can't steal the mask, Seth, Lara said, her voice rising with each word. Setting the mask on the table, I opened my briefcase. You don't understand, Lara. I'm not stealing the mask. I'm returning it. Returning it? To who? Lara asked. The Brujas de Sangre are gone. No one has seen or heard of them for centuries. I ignored the question. Answering it would tell Lara more than I was prepared to share. After the revelation on Section 9, I had to tread more carefully. Instead, I lifted a folded duffel bag out of the leather suitcase and loaded the mask into it, followed by the unbreakable china. You stole the plate too, Lara replied. That's from the exhibit. Force of habit, I replied. You may not believe me today, but I hope one day you will. I've never lied to you, Lara. Lara looked like she had sucked a lemon. No? You merely forgot to mention you were a wizard and a thief. I prefer the term arcanologist, I replied. Thief seems a little pedestrian, don't you think? Arcanologist, Lara asked. Yes, I find and study artifacts of arcane significance, but my education was more on the job training. I wasn't feigning interest in your work, Lara. It intrigues me. You intrigue me. You're not like other people. I suppose you think that justifies seducing me and abandoning me before our wedding day. Her voice brimmed with pained indignation. Guilt welled up within me, but I did my best to set it aside. There would be a time and place for it, hopefully in a future that didn't involve a cell. It seems you and I remember our courtship very differently. I stopped packing the duffel. If memory serves, you were the one who dragged me back here after the party. I must say I much preferred your desk when you weren't trying to kill me on it. Lara looked at the letter opener and smiled. I think you had it coming. Perhaps. But believe me, this isn't what I wanted. I hope one day you'll understand. You could explain it to me now. You have a captive audience. Her body trembled as she fought to move. I would, but you are right. I'm out of time. I peeled off my suit coat, gloves, hat and vest. There was little point in concealing my identity now. I needed to get out of the building, fast. Now that Lara knew, others would too. As I set the jacket on the desk, my eyes hovered over to the files. The Section 9 classified files. Picking them up, I began loading them into the duffel, along with the mask. You can't take those, Seth. Sorry, hun, I replied. I need to know everything your new friends know about the mask and where it was found. It's a matter of life or death. Seth, you're stealing from the CIA. It's going to be death. Just how big a target do you want to paint on your back? Is the mask worth all this? You're a wizard. You must know how the world will see you. Ever since the attack on New York, the world of magic, your world, has been of interest to the CIA. You're the one superweapon we don't understand. Whether you like it or not, you're the Manhattan Project of the 21st century. The government that understands the secret to your power will win the next arms race. It's enough that you're stealing the mask. Don't give them any more reasons to hunt you down. I shook my head. That's what you normals will never understand. Magic is a gift, not a weapon. Tell your people they best stop dabbling with things they do not understand before it... An abrupt ringing cut me off. The light on the phone on Lara's desk flashed as the ringtone increased in volume. Ignoring the phone, I scooped up another handful of files and layered them neatly into the duffel. You are going to want to get that, Lara said, nodding toward the phone. Why would I want to do that? Lara stared at the handset. Because it's for you.